Reddit by Reddit recap. What's the worst way a girl has ever broke the girl code with you? Trying to get my boyfriend to cheat with her. But as I often say, that's less girl code and more basic human decency. Still, it's something I'd never do to another woman. And would expect other women to be better than that. It's so refreshing to see other women hold the line on that. I have always refused to get involved with any man in a relationship, sometimes going to great lengths to confirm that he's not involved with anyone else before I proceed. Doesn't matter if it's a woman I know or not. Doesn't matter how awful he claims she is. I know how it feels to be cheated on and would never do it to someone else. Hell, even though I'm non-monogamous myself, I refuse to have any sort of relationship with a person I know is in a relationship where their partner doesn't know and consent to them seeing other people. Like you said, I'd never do something that could hurt another person so badly. And if someone is lying to their partner, you had better bet they'll lie about other things too. Honesty is important. I guess I broke the code first. I started dating her ex. To be fair, I didn't know he was her ex, and it was going pretty well. She repeatedly tried to hook up with him while we were dating. She would try to text him, divulge details of her ex life, and try to get him to come over while she was wasted. I broke off contact with her after her behavior and multiple other toxic tendencies. After I married the guy, she started contacting him again and tried again to hook up, even though they were both married to other people. It was like she dumped him, and then once he was with someone else she decided she wanted him again. In all fairness, how close could you really be if you didn't know he was her ex? How far out are you extending girl code? When it comes to dating, I'm only concerned with my friends. Outside of that, it's fair game. So sorry bestie, your cousin's ex isn't a stop for me. Great question. We were pretty close, but they dated before I met her, and she never mentioned him. She called me via a three-way call with my boyfriend so he could dump me for her. Yep. Great friend. Apparently they felt they were meant to be and wanted my blessing to pursue a relationship. They lasted less than 6 months before he cheated on her after a pregnancy scare. I, however, met the man I'm about to celebrate 21 years with a few months later. Congrats. So happy to see one of these stories turned out for the best. Thank you. I told a recent friend my number of XL partners. At the age of 31 it isn't too small anymore. She brought it up all the time, inferring that I'm a whore. She'd bring it up in front of other friends and their boyfriends. We are not friends anymore, and I'm not telling anyone my number again. I'm so sorry. That's bullshit. You're definitely not a whore, no matter what your number. You're simply a grown woman who knows how to enjoy herself. Thanks. Exactly. She thought she was a better woman for having a sub double digits number. I guess some people are still living in the 50s. My best friend of 16 years sided with my abusive ex. We are no longer friends. Wow. I could have written this exact post. Except for us it was 15 years. How are you feeling about it now? For me this happened a little less than a year ago, and I'm still sometimes feeling feels about it. I had a threesome with my, at the time, partner and our mutual friend, which we all enjoyed. In the months after, they started hanging out more without me and would flirt to the point of me being the third wheel when I was there. I knew something was up, but I was dismissed as being paranoid. I was then dumped, leaving me depressed and broken-hearted. 2 days later my friend is suddenly my ex's new girlfriend, and I'm getting the relationship pushed in my face. Especially by my ex, who started doing it just to hurt me. I made it worse for myself by hanging around like a pathetic lovesick puppy. I tried throwing myself at them for another threesome out of lonely desperation, only for my friend to say no, since she apparently respected me too much to do that again. After they split up, I was told that they'd been having a ex affair together for months before I was dumped. My friend had acted like she wanted to help repair my relationship issues at the time, but was regularly ducking my partner behind my back before happily replacing me. So was like a double betrayal MO. Holy crap, those two people sound awful. I'm so sorry you went through that. But I'm glad you're out of it now. Was certainly hitty. The friend did a lot to make things up to me after they and my ex broke up, but I'll probably never forget her behavior with my ex. My ex is a ducked up person. Had mentally abused me a lot during the relationship till I was more like their pet than a girlfriend, and went out of their way to push their new relationship in my face, just to screw with my mind even more. I'm glad I managed to recover from that eventually too. Back in college I ended up studying abroad with my emotionally abusive ex. Another girl in my program was also there with her ex, so we bonded over that. We spent a lot of time together. Ellen confided in each other, and I grew rather fond of her. We became good friends, or so I thought. Halfway through the semester, out of nowhere, she started avoiding me like the plague. When I confronted her about it, she made up some BS excuse about trying to branch out. I came to find out that, while I was gone for fall break, she started hanging out with my ex, and reported to him everything I'd told her about our relationship and my feelings about it. I was pretty hurt by the betrayed trust. And since she clearly didn't have a problem hanging out with my ex, I went out for ice cream with her ex and a couple other guys one afternoon. That night she came to my room and made a huge scene in front of a bunch of people, yelling and crying hysterically. SMH. The ice cream move was savage. Love it. Got too drunk my freshman year of college. Male friend followed me into my dorm room. You know the rest. Our mutual female friend said I was being too harsh and cruel by calling it sexual assault ape. I need to apologize and fix things, etc. That friendship tanked right there. WTF, I'm glad you didn't put up with her bullshit. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate it. Things are better now. I was in an abusive relationship. One night it got pretty bad and a girlfriend of mine had to come get me. The next day we explained what happened to another girlfriend who we had met through my boyfriend. She called herself my warrior and was a great friend to me. She said the reason I had met the boyfriend was to bring her into my life. During this time I lost my job. And despite everything I wanted to try and continue the relationship, I was young and thought it was love. She was supportive, but stern with both of us. I had to move back home because of the losing my job thing, and decided to try long distance with the boyfriend. He was only 2 hours away, so I could visit, but of course it didn't work out. He got angrier, and I got sadder and more distant. The breakup crushed me. But turns out my warrior was sleeping with him after I moved away, even while helping me surprise him by visiting and spending time with both of us when we did. That was a final deafening blow. It still breaks my heart to think about her. As much as I was enraged, I was heartbroken losing what I thought was such a friend. Still stings to think about. Being cheated on by a friend can be just as devastating as when it was by a romantic partner. Truly. Losing a platonic friend relationship is equally as challenging as losing a relationship. In college I became best friends with my roommate, and we ended up living together the last 3 years of uni. Our senior year, we moved in with a couple of our guy friends. One of the guys and I started getting really close after disclosing to one another our queer identities. It started getting kinda cute when over our spring break trip, he crawled into my bed and we would cuddle at night. It's definitely a risky move dating your roommate. But rather than have that discussion with us, my best friend staged an intervention with the guy while I was out one night, still on spring break. She claimed the most horrible things about me. Basically summing it up as I was a slut who would chew him up and spit him out. I noted the following week or two he was more distant, and when I asked if he wanted to date, he shut me down. I ended up hanging out with my ex again, which visibly upset him. I noted how it isn't fair that he can shut me down then expect me to still act like we're an item. Then he and our other male roommate told me about what best friend said. She actually had a second intervention with the both of them after spring break to really get the point across that I'm a garbage human being. That began the unraveling of our friend group. A good group of like 10 people was irreparably fractured. I haven't seen or heard from her or those who took her side since graduation. What was her motivation? She was scared of losing you as a friend? Didn't want you to be happy? Some people are just garbage and I will never understand it. I don't want to sound like that person, but I think she was jealous of me. When we first met, she had a boyfriend of a year. I kinda assimilated into her friend group and ended up flirting with a cute friend of hers. At about 2 years into her relationship and 1 year into our living together, she and her boyfriend broke up. I'd been FWB with the cute friend for a semester. She liked him too because he was objectively attractive. Another terrible idea, but we shared him for the next little while until I decided I wanted a real relationship and started seeing this guy that worked at a mac and cheese food truck. Cute friend got jealous and realized that he wanted to be more than FWB with me. Told best friend as such. Then took me to the first place where we went on a date many months ago and asked me to be his girlfriend. That's the ex that I went back to when you'd rumored shut me down. It wasn't with me. But I watched a coworker claim that she didn't have any tampons when another coworker asked. Then she turned to me and said that of course she has tampons in her bag. She just didn't like the other gal. What an ass. A day after I broke up with my ex, my roommate asked if she could hang out with him as friends over a school break. And I uncomfortably said I guess so, since I wouldn't be back for like a month and a half. I also warned her about his tendencies and why she shouldn't hang out with him. Then I was gone for 1 week and she texted me saying they both fell in love and decided to date, and I couldn't believe it because he'd treated me so badly and she was on my side the whole time when I vented to her about him. And she told me some people just don't click. Yikes. Are you guys still friends? LMAO, I tried to be close with her, but it was rough. I mean, my ex probably despised me for dumping him because of his abusive and arrogant behavior. He said I was at fault for the relationship not working. For I don't know what reason, so I'm sure he said crap about me. She also didn't want to listen to my warnings about him. She blocked me on social media for 2 years while they were together. Then I guess she finally realized I was right about him being a self-absorbed person and a huge cheater. Because now they aren't together, and I'm not blocked anymore. But not friends, no. Although that wasn't my decision. Best comment of the day. Unspoken rules that should maybe be spoken a little more. When I was 11 I got my first period, right before going away to summer camp for the first time. My prid of a great aunt didn't get me any pads and instead had me use her panty liners that are for incontinence. So I had to use 4 or so of them piled onto each other. Didn't know how else to go about that. Anyhow, it turned out that I'm an incredibly heavy bleeder and have irregular periods, and I suppose due to my age she didn't anticipate that, despite being a nurse, and sent me off to camp. Well, I'm not only an introvert, but also have severe social anxiety, so for camp, I decided I was going to try to be more open to people and be more confident. That went out the door when I was walking to the rec area outside and heard 2 boys behind me snickering, "What is that? EWW, it looks so gross." I had to go through the rest of the welcoming part of camp before I finally got to a bathroom and found out that I had a huge brownish red spot of blood on the back of my white shorts. Also was forced to sit in the bottom of a canoeing because my fellow females thought I was too small to row. I happen to be very good at canoeing, you rude bitches, and our canoe happened to have a hole in it. So as we rowed back to shore, the canoe filled with water and I got soaked. Went to change my clothes and discovered that the pads I was wearing turned into a gel-like mush.